Howdy, y'all, and welcome back. BeGunners, episode 10, Grip. So we'll talk about grip with both semi-auto and revolvers. We'll do revolvers kind of at the end of the video. It's a little more straightforward. So gripping our semi-auto handgun. So we figured out how to load and unload it safely. And we've already touched on, keeping the indexing our trigger finger here on the frame, some of the very basic stuff of handling. Now we're ready to start building our grip. And this is going to be the modern thumbs forward grip, which really isn't that modern anymore. But I'm stunned at how many people I see at the range using the old-fashioned, either a kind of teacup kind of thing like this, or doing some kind of crossed thumbs stuff like this. You'll see this in movies and TV all the time still, doing this one. We're going to work on the correct way to grip a semi-auto, which is modern thumbs forward grip. Let's take this over to the table and get a closer look. All right, let's start off with some terms. I'm right-handed, so this is my strong hand or my dominant hand, and this will be my weak hand or my support hand. And you'll hear those terms over and over again, so get used to them now. All right, so I'm going to grab the firearm with my dominant hand, my strong hand. And again, like we've talked about before, I'm indexing the trigger finger up on the frame. And I'm checking to make sure that the weapon is safe and clear and we are good to go. So the next thing I'm going to do, we'll talk about one-handed grip or dominant hand grip. So what I'm going to want to do here is I want to have this web of my thumb as far up into the grip frame as it can possibly be. I want no space. In other words, we are not holding the gun like that, which would allow excessive movement. We want to be as high up on the frame as humanly possible without getting that meaty web of the thumb there, like in danger of the slide moving back. That wouldn't be fun, right? So we want to be under it, but as high up under it as possible. And then I am gripping this way. So you've got the back strap and the front strap. I want my pressure to be applied inward this way. I'm not so concerned with squeezing in with my fingers like this. I'm really focusing my grip here this way. And forgive my big weird double jointed thumb there, but so in like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my thumb up. So very common for new shooters and even some pretty experienced shooters, when they grip a semi-auto with one hand, there's a natural tendency to want to bring the thumb and fingers together because that feels stronger. It actually isn't stronger. You will shoot the gun better one-handed like this, because this thumb is coming up and applying pressure this way into, so I've got my hand really gripping in this way and then just a little bit of additional support that way. And that is a more stable one-handed grip than this. It also naturally dovetails into our two-handed grip. So I've got all of this exposed real estate open. And what I want to do is bring my support hand in and occupy as much of that empty real estate as possible. And then I'm just going to rest the thumb, my dominant thumb, on the hand like so. So another way of thinking about this would be, I could hold the gun like that, right? So I'm coming in and I'm gripping in like that. That is the thumbs forward grip. And with this hand, I am applying pressure inward this way. So I've got this pressure this way, and with this hand, my pressure is coming in and squeezing like that. That is the way I'm going to grip my semi-auto handgun. All right, so once we have established our hand positioning, from here, things start getting a little more subjective because we all have different hand sizes and we all have different levels of strength, different ability to grip the gun. So it's very hard for me to tell you exactly how much grip you should be giving, right? And you will hear different instructors use different recipes. 60% of your grip with your dominant hand and 40% with your offhand, or 70% squeezing with your offhand and you relax the strong hand a little more and that's only 30%. And it all can be kind of confusing. And this is where working with an instructor one-on-one will get you a long way, is really dialing in the pressure that you should be using. But just for a general recipe that I can give you, go 50-50. Just good firm grip with the right hand, good firm grip with your weak hand or offhand, and just equal pressure. Just equal pressure, and it wants to be very firm. Not a death grip, not so firm that you start shaking and fatiguing yourself, but firm. If you think of wringing water out of a towel, you don't attack the towel, you slowly apply pressure like that, right? And you pressure. So think of that pressure. Think of pressure down and try to melt as much skin onto the frame as you can. Pressure, slow, steady squeeze. That will get you started. From there, like I say, you may need to work with an instructor to get exactly your fine-tuning in for your ability, your frame, your strength. It can be fairly subjective. All right, revolver grip. Completely different. So I like to think of shooting revolvers as pretty much a one-handed situation. And if I have the luxury of using my support hand, that's great. But my foundational grip is really going to be with the one hand. So again, I'm indexing on what frame I have available with my trigger finger. And this time I am pretty much marrying my thumb and these fingers and applying pressure both in this way and a little bit of finger pressure into the gun that way. So I've got all the grip really with the one hand. Again, not such a death grip that I start vibrating or I can't operate my trigger finger independently, right? I want it firm, good, firm pressure. And if I have the luxury of using a support hand, I'm just going to bring it in, just like I did with the semi-auto. I'm going to bring it in and apply pressure inward this way. But this time I am going to cross these thumbs and I'm going to bring them down like that. So you have two things going on with the revolver that dictate that we don't want our thumb up this way. One is the rotation of the cylinder. Two is the cylinder gap right there. Has extremely hot fire and gases coming out of it. And if your thumb were to be doing something like this, it would hurt. So we just want to bring that thumb in like that. So again, I've got a one-hand grip, and then I'm marrying it up with my support hand like that. And again, the pressure is in like that. This will vary somewhat depending on the size of your gun. If you've got a little, teeny, tiny revolver, just do your best. It may end up looking a little bit like a cup and saucer kind of a grip. It doesn't matter because you're mostly going to be holding it with your dominant hand. And the support hand is really a way of bringing the support arm out, making contact, and that's going to make you a lot more stable than just using one. So, revolver grip. All right, so that is the very basics of marrying our hands or hand to the gun. And in the next episode, we're going to get into framing, which will be marrying our hands and the gun to the rest of our upper body. And there will be a few more grip cues, a few more training cues once we start talking about framing, but I want to keep these two separate videos because just working on picking up the gun and making that grip happen needs to be its own thought. You could spend a good week of doing nothing but just practicing picking up the gun and getting those hands on it and making that feel right, especially if you've done a little shooting with the wrong kind of grip. It may take a little while to get that hand placement down correct every single time you pick up a gun. So we want to start with that and have that locked in. Then we'll move on to framing. All right, until next time, be easy, y'all.